so happy to welcome our speakers, İlknur, Burcu, and Mika. And they are representatives of feminist movement in Turkey, also in the world. Myself and Fatma, on the other corner, will be facilitating this session. And so just to introduce Fatma, is the president of Red Pepper Association, and she is the founder of Women's Party in Turkey. And she's also an associated member of several organizations and also of Women's Coalition Turkey. And now I would like to pass the word to Fatma for the introduction.
Thank you Selma'cığım. Teşekkür ederim. Yes, hello everyone and welcome. I am very grateful to have you all in this important panel. I am, as Selma said, I am Fatma Aytaç, chairwoman of Red Pepper Association. Red Pepper Association is an NGO based in Istanbul, established in 2011 and dedicated working on gender equality through advocacy, activism and project implementation. We are accredited by ECOSOC since 2017. We jointly organized this panel as three civil society from Türkiye, Women's Coalition, Association for Combating Sexual Violence and Red Pepper Association. We will discuss civil society's experience, efforts and projects within the framework of February 6th earthquake. Esteemed participants and from each organization will share their perspective and experiences. At the end of the panel, we will have questions from the audience. We are honored to have valuable participants from Turkey and the international community in the audience joining us today. We will broadcast our panel through Zoom. Now we are live in Zoom, as long as the internet infrastructure allows. Let me pass floor to Selma Acuner, representing Women Coalition, European Women Lobby Türkiye, and Patiska Platform, a very dear and prominent representative of women's movement in Turkey. Selma'cığım, floor is yours.
I need microphone. You'll have this. So we will be passing this microphone all over. And thank you very much, Fatma. Yes, I'm from Patiska Platform. I, like my platform very much because it's specifically on older women and new technologies. We were in Meta yesterday in Facebook. So I'm very much interested in technology and older women, because if we do not include women in this technology world, this new world, then there will be great isolation for older women. That's why I, specifically emphasize that. And now we will give the floor to our esteemed, I would say, speakers. They are feminists from Turkey. They are resilient and have been working since long years to enhance women's issues in Turkey. And so our first speaker will be İlknur Üstün, and she's from Women's Coalition Turkey, but also she is, she has coordinated so many organizations during her lifetime, I would say. And I think Fatma is going to introduce her to you, and then we will pass the word to İlknur for her statement. İlknur will speak in Turkish, and then we will have consecutive translation for her. And let me give the microphone to Fatma.
İlknur Üstün. İlknur Üstün studied philosophy at Ankara University and continued as a special student in master's program in women's studies at the same university. She worked as a philosophy teacher. She was one of the founders of AIZI, a feminist publishing house, where she also served as an editor and publication manager. She was a member of editorial board of Amergi Feminist Theory and Politics magazine. She served as the president of Kader Ankara branch and was a member of UNESCO Turkey Women's Specialization Committee. She is one of the founders and activists of Women's Coalition and European Women's Lobby Turkey Coordination. She has worked on issues of gender-based violence, discrimination, and access to justice in human rights organizations. She has written articles, conducted research and field work on gender equality, feminism, organization, political participation, local politics, access to justice, discrimination, human rights, and civil society organizations. İlknur continues to be active in local and international organizing efforts within women's organization and in shaping feminist policies. İlknur'cum, floor is yours.
Çok teşekkür ederim.
Olamayacaksa elinde tutsun Gülay'cığım.
Yakalar bence. Geliyor galiba siz. Geliyor. Evet. Çok teşekkür ederim. Hem organizasyon için emek veren tüm arkadaşlarıma, hem buraya gelip bizleri dinlediğiniz için sizlere. Ama en önemlisi sanıyorum çok alışıldık bir şey değil. Genellikle sunumların İngilizce olmasına karşın Türkçe yapmam konusunda arkadaşlarımın desteğini. Ben aslında yazdıkça yazdım. Konuşma yarım saate geldi. Çok. Kestim. 20 dakikaya indi. Yine çok dedi. 10 dakikaymış sadece. Şimdi atlaya zıplaya konuşacağım ama biraz uzatırsam anlayışınızı rica edeceğim. Evet, bugün krizin kadınlık hallerinden söz edeceğim. Çoğunlukla insan eliyle, kimi zaman da doğanın tetiklemesiyle yaşadıklarımız bir anda hayatımızı, özellikle de gündelik yaşamımızı felakete çevirebiliyor. Savaşlar, pandemi, depremler, göçler, aslında peş peşe baktığımız bütün bu süreçleri krizin hepimiz için ayrı biçimlerde yaşanmasıyla sonuçlanıyor. Aslında hayatın olağan akışı kadınlar için genellikle olağan dışı deneyimler demektir. Neden? Çünkü eşit değiliz, özgür de değiliz. Bunu hem pek çok sayıya bakarak hem de aslında o sayıların arkasında çok daha geniş, çok daha derin hikayeleri dinleyerek görmek mümkün. Dolayısıyla krizler eşit olmayanları eşit biçimde etkilemezler. Ben de burada tam da bizim özellikle son 5 yıldır üst üste yaşadığımız pandemi, depremler, siyaset, çatışmalar, bu süreçlerden çeşitli örnekler vermeye, bizim ne yaptığımızı anlatmaya ve aslında başımıza gelecekleri de sonuç itibariyle çözümlerini de bildiğimiz şeylerden söz edeceğim.
Well, I mean, please bear with me because İlknur has a very good Turkish capacity, so I'll try to do my best to transfer and translate her simultaneously. First of all, she started her speech by thanking for the organization of today's event to everyone and you, who as the participants who participated today. She would like to highlight that she also mentioned she had a long speech, but I'll just cut short. She'll make a shorter speech. We are looking forward to your questions afterwards. So she's concentrating today, together with us, the feminization of the crisis situation. So how it actually natural disasters can trigger our lives, but the influence of also human hand, how disasters can have an impact on people, but also how human mistake can have an impact on people, on the situations. So she will concentrate also speaking about the situation of war, earthquake, migration. They are all types of different crises. So they all have different forms of impact on our lives. And today we're going to talk about the consequences of these crisis situations. But we have to also highlight here, as she has said, the daily course of life have unordinary results on our lives, impacts on our lives. So if there is inequality for women in these unexpected circumstances, natural disasters, crisis situations, they have unexpected and further discrimination on women on the grassroots, on the forefront. So it is important to highlight the deepness of the stories that we're going to discuss. There may be some numbers, we talk about numbers, statistics, data, but they actually have hidden stories behind them. So we're going to try to open those hidden stories as well altogether. With the last 5 years, it started with pandemic, it continued with war, it continued with the earthquake in Turkey. We have been in conflicts, so we will try to get into the details on how it has an impact on us, but also we're going to talk about the solutions. What could be the solution from our perspectives as experiences on the ground? And also we have to highlight here, I think it's very important, if there is inequality already, it is very important that when these type of circumstances, natural disasters happen, the inequality enlarges its capacity. So there is even more multidimensional discrimination on the forefront.
In the meantime, I would like to introduce Aslıhan to you. And she is doing our translation voluntarily. She's a lawyer and she's working on European Union and judiciary system, and at the same time she is the board member of European Women's Lobby from Türkiye, and we really our heartfelt thanks to her for doing this translation for us.
Aslan kariyerine benim çevirmenim olarak başlamadı yani. Pandemiyle başlayayım. Pandemide güvenlik için kapatıldığımız evler biz kadınlar için şiddetin bakım hizmetinin yüküyle kabusa dönüştü. Zaten sınırlı sayıdaki danışma merkezleri, sığınaklar ya kapatıldı ya işlevsiz hale geldi. İşleyenler de bilgisine sahip olmadığımız, daha doğrusu kadınların büyük ölçüde nerede nasıl işlediğini bilmedikleri yerler oldu. Bilgisine sahip olunduğunda da ona erişebileceği telefonu bile yoktu. Dolayısıyla pandemideki en büyük kampanyalardan biri aslında kadınlara ikinci el telefon kampanyası oldu. Depremlerde şiddet enkazın başında, destek malzemelerinin hemen arkasında başladı. Destek malzemelerinin arkasında, çünkü depremin ilk gününden itibaren özellikle ihtiyaç sahiplerine yardım dağıtırken kadınlardan karşılığını isteyen istismarcılar türedi ve çoğaldılar. Bunun alanda örgütlü olmamız, bunun için anında depremin bütün yaşandığı yerlerde bunun bir suç olduğu, şikayet edilebilecek telefonların yer aldığı stickerları bölgedeki arkadaşlarımız aracılığıyla bütün yerleşim alanlarına dağıttık ve yapıştırdık. Tuvalet en temel ihtiyaç ama deprem bölgesinde tuvaletler kadınların kabusu oldu. Tenha, karanlık, kapısı kimsenin görmediği yerlere bakan tuvalet mekanları geceleri kadınların tacize, tecavüze, şiddete açık alanları oldu. Bu nedenle pek çok kadın bebek bezi bağladı. Hem bu nedenle hem pet istemeye utandığı için. Ama yine de şiddetten ya da tacizden kurtulamadılar. Çünkü kadın diyor ki sadece kendim için gitmiyorum. Çocuklarımı götürüyorum, hastayı götürüyorum, sakatı götürüyorum. Yani her şekilde o tuvalete bir şekilde ulaşmak zorunda kalıyorum. PET, kadınların erişemediği çok temel ihtiyaç maddelerinden biriydi. Destek paketlerine PET koymak kimsenin aklına gelmedi. Ta ki kadın örgütleri uyarıp bu PET'leri sokmayı başarana kadar. Ama bu arada AFAD hala destek paketlerine, yani Türkiye'deki organizasyon destek paketlerine PET koymayı reddediyor. PET'lerin olması bir kerelik destek paketlerinde olması yetmiyor. Sürekli, yani destek paketi bir kerelik ama ihtiyaç sürekli olduğu için bir şekilde hala biz önümüzdeki 6 ayın PET'lerini sağlamak için uğraşıyoruz.
During the pandemic, we were locked in our safe space, so-called safe spaces, our whole households. We were obliged to take care. We had extra care responsibilities, but those spaces were not safe enough for us. The shelters that were in place, they were either shut, or even if they were not shut, they were not accessible to women. And even in those circumstances, they didn't even know where the shelters were, even if there was some information spreading around. There were no telephone accessible telephones, so for us it was important to create this campaign on the second-hand mobile phone distribution. Therefore, some women had more access to shelters. Where there were support mechanisms for tackling violence against women, there were also spaces for distribution of resources, distributions of demanded needs for women, but those spots actually were the spots where women have met with their abusers. Those who were spreading, who were giving, distributing help products and so forth, they were actually the reasons of the new forms of abuse at the first place. Within these circumstances, we distributed stickers to inform women about where they can reach out for the information for tackling violence, and also for this type of first-hand information came from women organizations. The toilets, the basic needs of women, they were structured far away, and it was very difficult for them to have access to their basic needs. It wasn't only for them; it was also for their children. It was also for their older people that they were taking care of. So it was very challenging for them. So women started to wear diapers. They didn't have access to secure, safe spaces. They were subject to rape. They were subject to abuse at the forefront. So they started to look for diapers for themselves. Reaching out for hygiene kits, reaching out for pets were not possible for women. So even today, AFAD, the agency responsible for earthquake or natural disasters, is not distributing this hygiene products, pets for women. And even if they do, if in many of these hygiene kits, it's only distributed for once. This type of needs are actually continuous. It has to be sustainable. That they should be able to reach out to these needs continuously.
Çok kısa süre içerisinde kadınlar toplu yaşam alanlarındaki mahremiyet yokluğu nedeniyle petlerini değiştirecek yer bulamadıkları için cinsel sağlık sorunları yaşamaya başladı. Ayrıca bu mahremiyet yokluğu birçok kadının kocası tarafından cinsel ilişki için yıkılma riski olan binalara sokulmaya zorlandılar. Bunun bilgisini de özellikle bölgede çalışan kadın örgütleri, kadın doktorlar ve hemşirelerden öğrendik. LGBTİ'ler için durum daha da vahimdi. Özellikle toplu yaşam alanlarından dışlandılar ve hakikaten risk oluşturan mekanlarda kalmak zorunda kaldılar. Yemek kuyruklarından dışlandılar, aç kaldılar. HIV ilaçlarına ulaşamadı, yardım paketlerini alamadı. Büyük bir ölçüde de göçe zorlandılar.
In the long term and in the short term, the privacy has been a very big issue. Women have been subject to sexual and reproductive rights-related illnesses at the forefront, and because there was no safe space, there was no privacy, they were forced by their partners, they were forced by their husbands to have sexual intercourse in, almost collapsing buildings. Besides that, LGBTI plus community, they have been excluded from any type of distribution of support. They were not included in public spaces. They were excluded from distribution of food. They couldn't reach out to HIV-related medication or either any of that type of support.
Diyanet İşleri Başkanlığı'nın depremin sebebinin LGBTİ+'lar olduğunu açıklaması özellikle orada yaşayan LGBTİ'leri açık hedef haline getirdi. Depremin ardından bir ay içerisinde 214 bin gebe kadın doğum yaptı. Ama bu çocukların ve o kadınların durumuyla ilgili, akıbetiyle ilgili elimizde hiçbir bilgi yok. Doğum kontrol araçlarına ulaşmak neredeyse imkansız hale geldi. Hem pandemide hem de depremlerde özellikle öğrenci yurtlarının kapatılması, aile evine dönmek zorunda kalan genç kızların eğitimlerini tamamlamalarını imkansız hale getirdi. Hem bakım hizmetleri nedeniyle hem de yoksulluk nedeniyle. Bu arada çalışarak okuyan öğrencilerden barınma sorunu yaşayanlar, gidecek evi olmayan LGBT'ler için ise durum oldukça büyük bir kabusa dönüştü.
The Directorate for Regional Affairs has targeted LGBTI community directly, and they accuse them being the reason for the earthquake. And this created further, stigmatization and targeting on LGBTI plus community. The pregnant women, around 214,000 pregnant women gave birth, and we don't know what their situations are, how the children, the newborns are. There is no follow-up on the data, there is no follow-up on their well-being. Dormitories, they were closed and they were given to, they were used differently, and the access to education, continuation of the education of the young woman was, interrupted. So they were supposed to get back to their home, and they also were obliged to take further responsibilities regarding care responsibilities at home. So the housing issue for LGBTI plus community and for students has been a very big issue.
Depremde özellikle çadır dağıtımında ailelere öncelik verilmesi tek yaşayan yalnız ebeveyn kadınlar için tehlikeye daha açık hale gelmelerine yol açtı. Bugün Türkiye'de 2022 verilerine göre hane halklarının %10.3'ü tek ebeveyn hanelerden oluşuyor ve bunların %8'ini anne ve çocukların oluşturduğunu biliyoruz. Üstelik hem pandemide hem depremde çocuklarla baş başa kalan kadınlar, örneğin pandemide okulların, kreşlerin, bakım merkezlerinin kapatılmasıyla İpek İlkkaraca'dan ödünç alarak söylüyorum, zaman yoksulluğunun daha da yaygın ve derin hale geldiğini görüyoruz. Bizim ülkede yaptığımız, üstelik de çok çeşitli illerde yaptığımız çalışmalarda gördüğümüz şey, bazı kadınların ve bu hiç azımsanmayacak sayıda bir kadın, tek sosyalleşme alanları çocuklarını götürdükleri okul önleri olduğunu öğrenmiştim. Ve pandemiyle birlikte tek yaşam alanları ev haline geldi.
Especially during the earthquake, families were targeted. So families were reached out to give aid. They were the first help reached out was given to families. But single parents, especially single women, they were not able to get the needs that they were supposed to get at the first hand. Looking at the household data, 10.3% of the single parents are women, and out of this 8%, within this data, 8% are women and children. So it's a big population that we are talking about. And especially during the pandemic as well, as people were locked in their households, children couldn't go to school, so women were locked together with their children, and also the older people of the family, they were locked in the house. Taking out the terminology from our feminist economist İpek İkkaracan, she says, she talks about poverty of time. So poverty of time has been a very big issue for women. It's got deeper, and it got widespread. Looking at our widespread country-wise work, looking at our grassroots organizations, we learned that women actually only mostly socialize at the front doors of their children's schoolyards. So they were not able to socialize at all during this pandemic period.
Tam bir yıl önce 6 Şubat'ta 13 milyon nüfusu etkileyen 13 milyonluk nüfusun yaşadığı bir alanda ard arda depremler yaşandı. On binlerce insan öldü, yüz binlerce insan göç etti. Ve sayılarını henüz tespit edemediğimiz insan hala toprağın, enkazın altında yatıyor. Biz de arkadaşlarımızı kaybettik. İyi olmayı bile bir tür utanarak ifade edemediğimiz günlerden geçtik. Ama ilk gün itibariyle özellikle bölgede örgütlü olmanın gücüyle harekete geçtik. Bir afet koordinasyon ağı kurup hem mevcut durumu tespit etmeye, hem ihtiyaçlarla kaynakları buluşturmaya, hem hak ihlallerini tespit etmeye, hem bunları görünür kılmaya, aynı zamanda da kadınlara koşmaya çalıştık. Sadece o gün orada akut ihtiyaçları karşılamakla değil, aynı zamanda uzun erimli çözümler getirmek için kadın yaşam merkezleri modelini geliştirdik.
1 year ago, one year ago, on the 6th of February, we had a huge earthquake. We had a couple of earthquakes, and it had an impact on the region of 13 million people. And millions of people were affected, and millions of people actually immigrated within the country and out of the country too. It is very difficult to identify the number of the people that we have lost. We don't have data. We have lost our friends. We have lost many of our friends, and from the first day onwards, because we had access to our grassroots organizations from our organization, we try to reach out to the region. We have established disaster coordination network within Women's Coalition. We have followed up the needs of the women on the ground. We have tried to connect them with the resources, and also we have looked out for the rights violations, and we try to be a voice for them to make advocacy on that. We don't only want to provide the resources they need for that day temporarily, but we want to have a continuous support mechanism. Therefore, we have established women's life centers in the region.
Şey söyleyeceğim, bitireceğim. Yıllardır verdiğimiz mücadeleden biliyoruz ki aslında kaynakların dağılımında kadınlar ve toplumsal cinsiyet en son sırada yer alır. Krizlerde de ilk gözden çıkarılanlar olur. Bunu bildiğimiz için yaptığımız çalışmalarda özellikle bunu görünür kılmaya, bunu sadece ülkede değil, yerel, ulusal, uluslararasında kamu idaresini harekete geçirecek olan hükümete, uluslararası kurumlara baskı yapmaya çalıştık ve bunu yapmaya devam ediyoruz. Krizler çünkü olup bitmiyorlar. zamana, mekana, gruplara göre çeşitleniyor, yaygınlaşıyor, değişiyor ama sürüyorlar. Tam da Cynthia Cockburn'un şiddetin süre mücadele çok temel olarak iki şeyle mücadeleyi gerektiriyor. Toplumsal cinsiyet eşitsizliğiyle mücadeleyi. İkincisi çeşitliliği gören, çeşitlilikle birlikte yürüyen katılım mekanizmalarının oluşturulmasıyla. Çünkü kadınlar dediğimiz zaman tek tip kadından söz etmiyoruz. Dini, dili, etnik kimliği, cinsel kimliği, yaşam biçimi, bedensel, zihinsel özellikleriyle birbirinden çok çeşitli kadınlardan söz ediyoruz. Nitekim bir şiddet biçimi olan aynı zamanda yoksullukla, şiddetle, bunların daha da derinleşmesine yol açan krizle mücadele için toplumsal cinsiyet eşitsizliğiyle mücadele zorunludur. Bunun yol haritasını veren, hükümetlere, devletlere, resmi yapılara vazifelerini, yükümlülüklerini hatırlatan, yapmaları gerekenleri söyleyen ve bugün Türkiye'nin çekilmiş olduğu İstanbul Sözleşmesi'nin uygulanması, toplumsal cinsiyet eşitliğinin sağlanmasında en önemli adımlardan biridir. Bu kararlı, siyasi bir irade gerektirir. Bu irade olmadan herhangi bir krizin çözümüne kavuşması mümkün değildir.
For many years we have been, within our struggle on the women's rights feminist movement, we have been highlighting that women and gender equality are at the forefront. When there is a crisis, when there is a problem, when there is a natural disaster, it is the first thing they disregard in their policies, in their strategies. At the national, at the local, at the international level, we are advocating for women's rights and gender equality at all levels. And we highlight, like it was highlighted in the Cindy Cockburn's, mentioning on the men's continuum of violence. It is very important to highlight how we combat violence. It can only be through highlighting gender equality at all levels, but we should not forget the variety of women. There is no one typology of women. We have many different forms of women. They come from different ethnic and religious backgrounds, from different cultures, and we need to own them all. So it is very important that violence is not only on its own, but it gets deepened through poverty. It gets deepened through deprivation. It is very important to understand that we are not in this one sole form of violence. So it is very important that the authorities, the government authorities, all the relevant policy makers at the national level are all responsible on this regard, and we are here to remind them, and we are here to advocate for women's rights and gender equality at all levels. Therefore, Istanbul Convention, even if it was withdrawn from, we are here to sign it. We are advocating for the Istanbul Convention. We will never give up on Istanbul Convention, and it will be it is a political consciousness, it's a political ownership, and we are going to create that ownership all together.
Thank you very much, İlknur, and thank you very much, Aslıhan, for your translation, perfect translation, I would say. And listening to İlknur, I recall, I don't know if Ezel is with us today.
Yes,
Ezel. I will quote you and say, Istanbul Convention is ours, and we will get it back. So, and so our next speaker is again a very prominent feminist lawyer from Turkey, and she is from the Association for Struggle Against Sexual Violence. And I will give the floor to you, but before that I will give the floor to Fatma to introduce you.
There's a long way for microphone. Okay, let me remind you before introducing Burcu. After the panel, we will be in stairs in front of the United Nations, wearing the mask, Istanbul Convention. Please join us. Thank you. Attorney Burcu Uçuran. Burcu is a dedicated attorney, activist, and human rights advocate with extensive experience in combating sexual and sexualized violence. Over the years, she has championed the rights of women, children, and the LGBTIQ plus community, focusing on legal and policy reforms. Since 2019, Burcu has been at the forefront of advocacy efforts with the Association for Struggle Against Sexual Violence, working to advance prevention strategies, protection measures, and survivor support systems. Burcu, this floor is yours.
Geliyor mu? Hi everyone, I'm so glad to be here today. I will start with a short introduction about our association. Our association advocates, produces content, organizes campaigns, and organizes trainings to raise awareness on protective and preventive work on sexual and sexualized violence, support mechanisms to be operated after sexual violence. We also provide legal counseling to survivors of sexual violence. Today, I will give you a presentation on the current situation and our recommendations on sexual violence with a focus on crisis and earthquakes. I have divided my presentation into three headings. The first is the current situation in Turkey regarding sexual violence with a focus on women and girls. The second is the experiences of women, girls, and LGBTQIA pluses in the earthquakes of February 6 and 20, which affected 10 cities and 16% the population in our country. And the third will include our recommendations on these issues. You can also scan the QR code to see the written report on the priority and revise them will be presented for CSW68 and the fact sheet we prepared on the earthquake. Now I can start with first heading. Thousands of women, girls, and LGBTQIA pluses are subjected to sexual violence in Turkey every year. Although there are legal regulations, implementation has many gaps and problems. There are many obstacles, such as survivors' reluctance to press charges and the lengthy and traumatizing judicial process. Protection and support mechanisms remain insufficient. The main problem in our country is that legal regulations are not implemented as written in the law. This difference in implementation creates an unbalanced justice and support system. I want to give you all the data on this issue today, but the Turkish state has not publicly shared any data on any subject in recent years. However, we can access some data through reports from non-governmental organizations in this field. In addition, women, girls, and LGBTQIA pluses struggle with poverty. Poverty affects these groups the most. I move on to second heading. Last year, on February 6 and 20, in the aftermath of the major earthquakes that affected 10 cities in Turkey, one of the biggest problems was that women, children, and LGBTQIA pluses, whose rights were not already protected, become more open to violence under conditions of risk and crisis. They also couldn't access the support they were needed. Single and trans women were not access of their right to housing due to intersectional discrimination. In this process, women, children, LGBTQIA pluses, sex workers, people living with HIV positive, migrants, asylum seekers, refugees, and persons with disabilities become targets of discrimination and violence. Whereas the Yogyakarta principles state that states are obligated not to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, marital or family status. In this context, it calls on states to take on necessary legislative, administrative, and other measures to ensure access to decent, accessible, culturally appropriate and habitable accommodation, including shelters and other places of temporary accommodation in emergencies. Many children went missing after the earthquake took place, and we still don't know the exact number of missing children. Turkey doesn't have a gender-sensitive disaster and crisis management plan, and the state refuses to work with right-based civil society in such crises. However, we know that the state works together with civil society organizations that are seen as close to the government. Again, Turkey didn't share clear, accessible, transparent, and objective data on the earthquake. Still, right-based civil society organizations that went to the field prepared reports and ensured the public's right to information. I can't explain the details in all these reports in limited time, but I would like to include some headings. Although women were affected by the earthquake, they couldn't find as much support as men for their earthquake trauma, as they had to continue their care and domestic labor. Women found it difficult to voice their needs, as most of the earthquake workers were men. According to the reports, girls were forced to marry at an early age due to security concern. Basic human needs such as clean water, sanitary pads, and sexual health products were not provided in sufficient quantities in the earthquake zone, and women and girls were constantly menstruating due to stress. And lack of access to clean water and sanitary pads led to many infectious diseases. Due to unprotected and uncontrolled earthquake shelters, women and girls were subjected to sexual violence and couldn't report these crimes. LGBTQIA+ didn't have access to basic needs such as shelter and food. Some transgender women had to return to earthquake-damaged houses after the earthquake. LGBTQIA+ had difficulties in accessing sexual health. People living with HIV positive couldn't access their medications. There were limitations on access to hormone medications. In conclusion, sexual and sexualized violence is a problem that violates the fundamental rights of women, girls, and LGBTQIA+ and deeply affects their lives. Especially with the earthquake, we have seen that our country's disaster and crisis management system doesn't work well. The state ignores all attempts by civil society to make it work well. All stakeholders need to work together to solve this problem. Our fourth suggestion regarding sexual violence, disasters and crises is that the state should continue to share transparent and objective data, especially on such issues, within the scope of citizens' right to information. This way, we can understand what is happening. Our other suggestion is that the state should invite us as a stakeholder to the table as a partner in topics such as lawmaking, the preparation of national action plans, and the preparation of gender-sensitive disaster and crisis management plans. Please contact us for anything you want. This is our contact information. Because of the limited time, I couldn't give you more details about our association, but you can take our flyers from the desk, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Burcu. You are on time, and thank you also for that. And thank you, all of you, of course, for your insightful statements on the earthquake. And one issue that you raised is very important. We need gender-sensitive crisis management.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good summary of the issue. And one more other thing, as also Ilknur has touched upon, young women, due to cultural and structural traditions, could not go and ask for pads, although they were distributed. And they could not access them because they were distributed by young soldiers and male officers. So the sanitary pads were there, but they were not able to access them.
they were only able to access them when the women's organizations went into the field. So the role of civil society organizations came to the fore during the earthquake, and therefore if we connected to what you have said at the end is that we really need gender-sensitive crisis management, and thank you very much for that. And our last speaker is Mika. And dear Mika is Mika Mora Koçoğlu, and she's from Florida International University, and she's also an associate of Red Pepper Association. And let me pass the word to you.
Let me introduce Mika. Dr. Michaela Maura Koçoğlu. Dr. Koçoğlu is an associate teaching professor and undergraduate program director at the Center for Women and Gender Studies at Florida International University. Her research interests include studies in gender violence and trauma, online gendered hate speech, women and genocide, indigenous feminism, and post-colonial literary studies. She designs and implements collaborative online international learning projects for courses. She teaches teachers with topics ranging from gender violence, feminist theory, global women's writing, as well as women and genocide. In addition, she is co-principal investigator on U.S. Mission Türkiye project, Breaking Gender Barriers in STEM Education. We are happy to work with Mika. Mika, floor is yours.
Çok teşekkür ederim. Hoş geldiniz. Thank you, Tuba, for helping me with my presentation today. The first speaker already mentioned that catastrophes impact education. So globally, in the aftermath of disasters, 18.4% of children never even attend primary school. Girls and young women are much more likely than boys to never to return to schooling. So in Turkey, the earthquake has exacerbated an already existing gender gap in education. And I want to present today our joint initiative that tries to address this gap on a small scale under the leadership of Kırmızı Biber Derneği, the Red Pepper Association, and in collaboration with the Women's Research Center at Yaşar University in Izmir and FIU. Our project is funded by a grant from the U.S. Mission to Türkiye. So already before the earthquake, Turkey had the highest rate of school dropouts among countries in Europe for both boys and girls, at about 28% according to Eurostat. The gender gap in education increased from 17.9% in 2000 to 22% in 2019, as you can see on this slide. The schooling rate for high school-aged girls in the southern Anatolia region remains lowest at 68%, compared to about 90% in the western regions. And even before the earthquake, I wanted to mention Turkey had the highest rate of child marriage in Europe, with 2% before the age of 15 and 15% before the age of 18. So in Turkey, 27.2% of young people between the ages of 15 to 29 are neither studying nor working. And as you can see here on this slide, the rate, there's a huge discrepancy between men in that age range, where the unemployment, not studying, not working, is at 12.5%, whereas the number for women is at 21.3%. So clearly, the earthquake will profoundly exacerbate this existing gender gap in education. So according to a study by the UN Office Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, at the beginning of the school year in September 2023, children in 27% of households impacted by the earthquake did not return to school. The reasons that were stated were manifold, of course. Not all schools reopened. Financial constraints were mentioned. More than half of households were now female-headed, and 16% of households were headed by minors. And 40% of neighborhoods lack adequate transportation. So why is that concerning? Education, as we all know, is not only a basic human right, but it's also a key factor in a country's economic growth and social development. I'm not going to linger long on the next slide. You all know the numbers. These are based on UN Women. As you can see, 122 million girls, about 1 in 5 are out of school. The majority of the illiterate adults are women, and women in STEM account for only 1/3 of global post-secondary graduates. But as we heard on Monday in one of the introductions in the main sessions, 1 additional year of school can increase a girl's earnings when she's an adult by 20%. So what are the social costs for this gender inequality? We have, of course, the gender pay gap, low labor force participation, which is at 63% for women compared to 94% for men, and unequal division of care work, etc., etc. Child marriage, and low rate of women in decision-making positions, and of course gender-based violence. So for our project, Breaking Gender Barriers in STEAM Education, our research team designed and developed quantitative surveys directed at teachers and principals in the earthquake region, as well as major cities. The earthquake region, the earthquake regions covered Hatay, Adıyaman, Kahramanmaraş, Şanlıurfa, and the major cities included Çanakkale, İzmir, Ankara, Istanbul, Mersin, and Samsun. The purpose was to determine the current gap in gender education. Now we have preliminary results, so we did not evaluate the data coherently yet, but we wanted to give you some information on preliminary results. So in terms of the frequency of STEAM education, we have 45% that have either no or less than 25% of STEAM education. Of course, we have to diversify these results by region and location. That yet needs to be done. One other major concern, of course, is the safety, right? We have, all right. In terms of gender inclusive environment, and that, as you can see on this slide here, right, that means safety for menstruating girls, particularly that facilities that are located outside of the school premises, and that travel to and from school. Next slide. Thank you. So as you can see here, the majority of educational institutions, based on our survey, do not offer period products nor training about menstruation. They do not offer a curriculum-based program on gender-based violence. Seldom do they offer student support groups. And at a rough glance only, the data seems to indicate that there are major obstacles for children, both boys and girls, but particularly girls and young women, to attend schooling. So we also conducted qualitative focus group interviews. All of these were anonymous, by the way. So that focus group consisted of teachers in the earthquake region, and the most pressing concerns were 2 major ones. One was transportation, safety to go to and from school, and the other was the lack of female role models for girls and young women in STEAM due to dominant gender norms. So the purpose of our project is to design a gender-inclusive curriculum. We will offer starting in April. Kırmızı Biber, together with Yaşar University, will offer an after-school STEAM program and try to get girls and young women back to school. Right. So any child should be given the opportunity to freely pursue an academic career and their passions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mika, specifically for the striking data you provided for us. Really very, very interesting. I'll be sure that we are going to use this because you have provided that. And listening to two dear speakers, I would say, we listened to Women's Life Centers, which was very, very important. Maybe you may want to ask questions. And then we had this gender-sensitive crisis management, which was another striking point. And from Mika, we had all these, new statistics. Now, Fatma and I would like to open the floor now to your questions. And please be concise in your questions because I don't know, Fatma, how much time do we have now?
8 minutes. Until 4. In fact, we need to finish before 4. We need to leave the room at 4 o'clock.
So we have
15 minutes.
35,
Oh, good. We have 25 minutes.
We have.
Okay, so we would like now to open the floor to your questions, your comments, but please be concise and please try to limit it to 2 minutes. Otherwise, I'm not a very democratic person in that sense, so I will jump in directly. So Fatma and I will,
Yeah.